arbitrary in deciding from one applicant to the next. You may have a favored applicant, you may have a less favored applicant. Would the less favored applicant be less likely to get a variance based on that standard? I think you need to have a more objective standard. And the Supreme Court clearly states that, if the law is clear and free from all ambiguity, the plain meaning controls and is not disregarded under the pretext of pursuing the spirit. And of course, one of the things that they talk about is that with regard to this is that, if I find it here, I was hoping to find the actual words of the statute, and it says here that the statute itself provides a definition for the meaning of undue hardship, and that is that the property in question cannot be put to reasonable use if used under conditions allowed by the official controls. The plight of the landowner is due to circumstances unique to the property, not created by the landowner, and the variance, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the locality. So when it's looking at this, a lot of times people find that that does have to do with maybe because of the shape of the lot, that it's a pre-existing condition. That condition was pre-existing. And so, you know, I think what we heard here now at the end of the presentation by the city staff person is that the League of Minnesota Cities sees that this indeed, now that there's this clarification, and not so much a clarification but a confirmation of what the standard really is, that the League of Minnesota Cities sees that they now need to go to the legislators and try to change the law to either change the standard or to change the definition of undue hardship. So this, of course, is something that I think that we'll see as we go further down the line, and this is something we'll have to watch to see exactly how this all shakes out. So anyway, I just wanted to give you that little bit of an update there on that particular issue. Now, another issue that we're going to switch over to is the issue of what's going to happen in Maplewood with the Citizens Forum. Now, of course, in the past, prior to 2007 or 2008, the Citizens Forum was actually called the Mayor's Forum. And the Mayor's Forum was an opportunity for citizens to meet once a month with the mayor of Maplewood to discuss either issues or upcoming things to look for, or talk about maybe even neighborhood problems, or maybe solutions, or maybe just to talk about the history of Maplewood. Well, of course, this was originally initiated by Gary Bastian when he was mayor, and of course Gary Bastian then went on to become a Ramsey County District Court judge. But Gary Bastian, I understand, had originally started these in his backyard of his home, and then from there started holding them at City Hall. It then grew so that the next mayor, Mayor George Rossbach, that he continued the tradition and he held them. And then after him, it was Mayor Bob Cardinal. He continued this as well. Now, Mayor Bob Cardinal, he did try a couple different times, rather than having it just at City Hall, he would have it occasionally like in the south leg at the fire station, so that way it might be more accessible and better attended by those of the south leg of Maplewood. Now, the Mayor's Forum traditionally was held on the first Saturday of every month, and from the period of 10 to 12. Now, before I was elected mayor, I did attend a number of the Mayor's Forums that Mayor Bob Cardinal had. I would say maybe 4 or 5 of them or so. And generally speaking, people would kind of come and go anywhere between 10 o'clock and noon. And usually there'd be some talking of current issues, but then also talking about some of the history of Maplewood and some of the things that had gone on, or how certain programs had evolved or whatever. But typically whenever I attended, I saw that the amount of citizens who participated or attended generally ran from an amount of like 4 or 5 to maybe 6. And so that was sort of the general idea about how many people showed up. It wasn't always the same people, it just kind of depended. Now, of course, then in 2006, when I became the mayor, I continued the Mayor's Forum, and we had them at City Hall. And one of the things that I thought was sort of missing from the whole mix of the Citizens or the Mayor's Forum was the fact that the only person from the city who was there was the mayor. And of course, Maplewood is a Plan B city, and with it being a Plan B city, well, the one who actually runs the day-to-day show and the operations and makes the decisions about how to develop a budget, how to organize the city, how to manage resources is the city manager. So most of the time what I saw when I would go to the mayor's forums prior to being elected, that sometimes citizens would have these questions that really the mayor didn't have an answer to, because it wasn't something that the mayor was responsible for and maybe wasn't even privy to. And so what I had, the first mayor's forum that I had was the idea that I wanted the city manager to be there as well. So that way, we're meeting at City Hall. If citizens have questions or they need information, the city manager is right there, right only across the hall from his office. They get the materials that are needed for the citizens so that way they can leave, go home, and have their answers immediately. Well, that worked out really well, and we had the manager then at all the mayor's forums ever since then, 2006. And I think that model has worked out really well. At least that's my opinion. And I think it was the opinion of the citizens that attended as well. Now, just to give you a little bit of a background of the attendance of the Citizens Forum or the Mayor's Forum, from the time period of 2006 to the end of 2009. I did some statistics, a little calculation, and I found that if I were to look at the year 2006, that the average number of citizens who attended the Mayor's Forum in 2006 was an average of 9. Then the next year in 2007, the average number of citizens who attended the Citizens Forum each month was 17. So it went up dramatically. Then in 2008, well, we had a wonderful year in that in 2008, the average number of citizens who attended every Citizens Forum, because by that time it had been renamed to the Citizens Forum, the average number of citizens who attended the Citizens Forum was 21. 21. That is an amazing number. And what is so incredible about this is that while we had the same core group of people who generally were the same people who attended the mayors or citizens forums through the years attend, even in 2008, we had many, many other people who attended as well. And they weren't always the same people. They would kind of be different people from month to month, depending upon what their issues might be, or what concerns were going on, or maybe what items had been on the agenda in the past month, or what were anticipated to be on the agenda in the future month. And so having gotten that to an average of 21 citizens a month in 2008, I think is really quite an amazing thing. Because a lot of people are giving up. That means that these folks are giving up their Saturday morning, one Saturday a month, to come to something going on at City Hall. Now, of course, in 2009, the number went back down to 17 as an average per month. And I still think that that is still a good number as well. And then, of course, the last Citizens Forum that I hosted was in January of 2010. And it was actually January 2nd, 2010. And even with it being a holiday weekend, we had 16 people attend that Citizens Forum. Now, a little history as to why was the name changed. Well, you know, it was always called the Mayor's Forum. And somewhere along the way, I came to realize that the forum really wasn't about the mayor at all. It wasn't about the city manager. It was about the citizens, because who really was speaking at this forum but the citizens? And so it just seemed to make logical sense to me that it should indeed be called the Citizens Forum. And I will say that that's actually one change that I made that the council did not object to. They pretty much objected to every single other change I ever made or suggested on the council, but that one they never objected to. Now here we are, fast forward to 2010, and the format, of course, of the Citizens Forum has been changed, and that format was such that the council rotated their hosting of it with the mayor. So the mayor actually has only hosted, I think, maybe two or three, something like that. This is October, so you know. The city manager has been in attendance, but then they've had a city staff person come in and give a presentation, which generally took up most of the 2 hours, so that the citizens at the end would have very little time to be able to speak or to address the elected official with either their questions or concerns or comments or suggestions or anything. And so it was certainly a way to channel the discussion and to channel the communication and really to market the message. Now, of course, we just recently, October 2nd, had a Citizens Forum, and there were about 8 people there. And so that, of course, is pretty consistent with what we've seen for this year, is about an average of 8. So the attendance has really dropped dramatically. Now, the council, of course, is considering what they should do about the about the Citizens Forum, because at the forum in September, citizens said, you know, we've had enough of all these presentations. They're fine and dandy, except that we come here to discuss the issues. We want to talk about the issues we want to talk about, not the topic you want us to talk about. And so after hearing these sentiments, Councilmember Nephew, who was the hosting council person of the September Citizens Forum, went back to the council, and during his council presentation expressed exactly what these sentiments were to the council. And the fact that, well, maybe it wasn't a good use of city resources to have staff people there on a Saturday morning talking on and on for an hour and a half about some presentation when you really only have like 8 people in the room. And so the council decided, well, let's think about this a little bit, and what are some of our options? What do we want to do? And what I found interesting is that for whatever reason, this has to be a council decision, when in the beginning, this forum was actually a forum hosted and called by the mayor. So now the council is the one who is controlling what is to occur with the mayor's forum and outreach program with the citizens. And it appears to me that the mayor has abdicated his option to be able to engage in a mayor's forum with the citizens. Now, why is this? Who knows? Perhaps, you know, there's other things to do on a Saturday morning. I'm not sure. But the council then had a workshop to discuss this issue about what should be done with the Citizens Forum. We have some film footage from that meeting, so I'd like to share that with you now, and then we'll take a look at what some of them have to say, and I think that it'll give you a really good flavor about